Hello there and welcome to James Hennon on YouTube. Today I wanted to make a video to sort of just expand a bit more on the benefits of using a Celtic crossbred and sort of using the Celtic crossbred in the way that I use it, more so than using it in the sort of classic traditional way. So I just wanted to spend a bit more time today going through the positions so that we can understand a bit more about what we're trying to achieve when we do a reading for somebody, because spreads are very important, and I think that they do tend to force us into looking, well, not force us into, but encourage us to look in different directions to find different kinds of answers to the question, perhaps answers that we hadn't considered before and hadn't really thought about. So I'm just going to lay out some cards now and explain the positions a little bit more, and then give you some ideas of what certain cards could mean in that sort of position. Of course, it depends upon the question that's asked, but the whole point of this exercise is to get you putting a card in a position, so that gives you like a key word or a key idea that can answer the question. So, for instance, if you've got a question, you can look to see whether it's a situation that needs to be stabilized, it's one that you could change, one that you need to just hold on to for a bit longer, or something that you need to look deeper into. So it gives you different examples. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to shuffle these, I'm just going to lay the cards out. So the first two cards here are the question as it currently stands. This will give insight into what the person has come to have the reading about. It'll give you a little bit more information. They may or may not be fully aware of what they're asking about. This will give a clear indication. The card directly above it is the actions that they're currently taking at the moment. So that would mean what they're either thinking about doing or what they've just initially started doing. So it's what they're currently sort of thinking about or currently doing. The card directly below it here in this place would be the short-term goal or direction of what they're trying to achieve, or what would be best for them to achieve in the short term and go for. To the left of the center card, we have the asset. Now, the asset would also, the asset can be something to do that they have that they can use in their favor. It's something that they may or may not be fully aware of. It may be a skill or a talent, or it may be a person that can help them, but it's the assets they've got and the things that they can use in their favor to help them with the situation they're looking at. And the next card is the future possibilities. Things that, again, they may or may not be fully aware of, but things that they could explore that are likely to offer success, or could be a potential for success at least. The seventh card over here is the queryant's view of their own question, how they feel about the question they're asking. Are they connected to the question, or are they sort of disconnected and not really seeing things properly? Are they positive when the situation is negative? So are they kind of a little bit off center, maybe a little bit deluding themselves slightly, or are they seeing a situation negatively that's actually very positive? So this is an interesting card and will tell us a lot about the mindset of the person we're dealing with and reading for. The next card is the timing card above that in the 8th card position. Now this talks about, is it a good time to act, or should we be waiting? Should we be getting more information? Should we be changing our mindset about this? Should we be exploring new options, or should we be getting rid of things or finishing things off? There's many different sort of options that you may have at this time, but this will give you a heads up as to what's best for the client to sort of be taking. You can also get dates and things from this section, but it's not really designed for that. It's just to give them an idea of what the time is good for doing. Then you've got the purpose above that, the 9th position. This generally is talking about what's the purpose, what's the ultimate purpose that the queryant wants to achieve here. What are they hoping to achieve? What do they want to achieve? What ultimately do they want to come out of this? What is the ultimate purpose? What do they need to want to achieve? And the final card 10 at the top here, this goes into and explains a bit more finer detail and a bit of additional information. And this can be correlated to the future opportunities card as well. So to give a very brief example of how it might work, we would talk about the question here with the Ace of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune. So the question here would be about new possibilities that could be evolved quite well. This could be something that can move very quickly and very successfully. Now, this could be, if the querent was talking about a relationship, this could talk about the potential for very quick opportunities to meet somebody new. If it was in the workplace, it could just talk about the whole concept of new ideas, and something that the querent might feel good about might come about. So they might get the job offer they've gone for, they might get it. They might get the interview they're looking for, or they might get the promotion, or it might just be a kind of improvement, a new improvement within the workplace that helps to move things and evolve things on. So that's what the question could be about, perhaps. Then if we sort of go across to the viewpoint, which is number 7, we could then see that how the querent is seeing this situation is a new direction, a new emotional direction with the Page of Cups. So if it's a love life, again, the querent will be seeing this as an opportunity to start to learn to trust again, especially if they've been hurt previously. The slate's wiped clean. It's a chance to go in a new direction. They might be happy to want to explore that. They know that it's got to be developed slowly and carefully, and it all depends on, how they approach things, but they know the offer is there. Again, in the workplace, it could still be the same thing, learning to trust again, or learning to develop your feelings in the direction that you want to go in, which is preferably a new direction. So what the client might be working with at the moment is the Devil. So to give you an idea of how they might be trying to do is trying to find ways to see a situation perhaps with more truth. Stop sort of seeing things in a way that is detrimental to what they want to do. Perhaps they've been in a restricted situation and now they're looking at ways to untie these restrictions and move away from them. Perhaps they've been in a negative situation, but they know this new opportunity gives them the new chance to start afresh. So perhaps then they can take the opportunity to cut the ties and to start looking at ways of moving forward in a more positive way and not getting wrapped up so much in the mundane things and looking at things too seriously. And perhaps if their creativity has been blocked, now would be a good time to start looking at ways of, just by looking at the situation differently, you can see the truth and then start to see where perhaps you've been negative, and you can sort of unrestrict the situation that has been quite restrictive. So the short-term goal coming out of that, which follows on from that, is the 6 of Swords. Sorry, I had trouble seeing the number there. The 6 of Swords. So that would say that it is now a good time to take on the challenges involved in removing this negativity, because by doing so, you can add stability to the situation. You can start to see things more clearly, and you'll be able to move away from anything that has been restrictive or difficult, and instill that harmony mentally. So the goal of untying yourself, as we saw with the Devil card here, the goal is to free yourself so you can start moving away from that, because this is not going to benefit you in the direction of what you're looking to achieve. And then you can start to move things forward, improve the situation, instill that balance and harmony within the mind that you want to do. So that's your short-term goal with this new situation, is to move it on and evolve it in such a way that it becomes far more positive, taking you out of the situation that is restricted. The asset that you've got working within this situation is the 2 of Swords. And what that suggests is that you'll be able to see where you need to make important changes, but you'll actually see, because you'll know what choice you need to make. Perhaps something that was difficult, a decision that was difficult to make before, now becomes far more apparent. So you will have the ability within what you ask about to make the right decision and find the right information, so that you can see what was restricted before, see what was obscured before, what you couldn't see. Because the Two of Swords, of course, is about choices, but sometimes it's about not being able to make a choice. So in this case, you'll now have the relevant information at hand, because will be able to see where you've been restricting yourself in the Devil, because you've started to work on freeing yourself from that negative situation. So you'll then be able to see where you need to move, perhaps where you've been avoiding things or not been able to make a decision. You will then be able to make a decision far more likely. So the future opportunity within that is the Hangman, and this will illustrate quite brilliantly that you will have the opportunity to turn things round, to turn things almost on its head. A different viewpoint will give you the opportunity to make a valuable assessment of the situation. And through taking your time in the past, you can now assess the situation and be able to gain that true perspective of what's going on, helping you to find the correct way forward. You'll have the opportunity to turn things round and to make the necessary sacrifices. In the short term, which is about 3 months, the opportunity will be presented for you if you need additional time to think things through. You don't have to rush things, but once you're clear on this perspective, you'll be able to move on it and make the necessary sacrifice if it's necessary, maybe giving something up to gain something of greater value. So the timing will tell us a lot more about what we're doing. This is a time for great change. The Five of Pentacles suggests that, especially in practical or financial or anything like that, or career issues, it's a good time to make these changes. A change is going to be needed before you can progress any further. So although there's a new situation coming in, you might have to address some changes before you do that, and it's a good time to make the necessary adjustments and changes so that you can progress and move forward. And again, especially if it's in a material question to do with finances or career, but of course not restricted to just that. It could be a relationship, or it could be property or savings or anything like that it could be involved in. But necessary adjustments and changes will help to make the situation more stable. So the actual purpose, the overall purpose of the reading, is the Queen of Swords, and that is that you want to gain a proper understanding of what you're doing, to be completely receptive of where you want to go with what you're trying to do, having that great understanding and patiently being able to sift through the facts and the information to arrive at a confident judging of what you need to do next. And of course, it does come from a position of honesty as well. So you'll need to be honest and truthful with yourself and the situation. And that's what you want. You want the truth and you want honesty. And you want to be able to understand exactly what you're trying to achieve here. And you need to use logic, I think, to think things through, because this is what this card would suggest. But gaining a sort of receptive understanding of the situation from an honest and truthful viewpoint, so you know what is true for you and what you honestly want to do and what you honestly feel is right for you within this situation. If something isn't sitting right, then maybe you need to be more honest, not being afraid to sort of cut through the BS, so to speak, and be able to speak your mind if you need to. And the final card of this is the Nine of Swords. So what the Nine of Swords is suggesting here is additional information to go with the Hanged Man, is that you might have some concerns about what you're trying to attain here, what you're trying to achieve. You might be frightened or concerned or anxious about this. So this will need to be addressed. You'll have to look at the situation to gain a proper perspective, get the insight and information that you might need to do this. But you're going to have to obviously address the fact that any concerns more than likely are going to be unfounded. So you can progress through this, but you might meet with some things that could trouble you or worry you in the near future, but you're not to focus too much on this. Just know that by dealing with these fears and overcoming them and not letting them stop you, you can progress. Again, the Hangman will help you gain a true perspective of what's really going on. And if you give him enough time, he will help you to arrive at the right sort of decisions that they're going to help you. Because if we're not seeing the situation completely clearly, we might struggle and ultimately let our fears get the better of us. But to attain what you want to attain, you're going to have to meet with your fears, I think, meet with your worries, but obviously not let that ultimately stop you. So that's a quick example, really, a little bit more detail about each section. So each section answers the question and breaks the section. Each section breaks the question down and gives you a perspective from each viewpoint of what you can actually do within this situation. And it gives you more ideas, more answers to the question, and more options to play with. Perhaps there might be something that you'd overlooked. Perhaps you hadn't thought about spending some time getting a new perspective. Perhaps you hadn't realized that a choice can be made because you have got the insight to do it. Perhaps you hadn't realized that you needed to work through some issues to sort things out. And as I say, you can play around with these cards in any way you want. And of course, if you've got different meanings for the cards, that's fine. There's no right and wrong way of reading the tarot, just your own way and what works best for you. As long as you get the results, and the key is to helping the client, of course, as well as helping yourself. So you can apply your own tarot meanings for the cards to this section, whatever works best for you. Or you can even play around with the sections. You could change the card order around if you wanted to, or you could apply different section meanings. It's completely up to you. But I think this is more a goal-focused spread and helps people to find and explore ideas that they maybe had overlooked before, instead of just focusing mainly on what's happened in the past and what's the root cause and what's the issue. And that we know the client knows what the issue is. As long as you can give an example of where they've been and where they're going, that's what's more important to me, rather than dwelling too much on what's happened. We can't change the past. We can understand it, but we can't change it. And if you read the cards with obviously a lot more depth than I have, you should be able to pick things up from the first two cards, or at least the first three cards with this card as well, of what the client's currently going through and perhaps what they've been through. And if your intuition will develop in time, you'll be able to explore it more. So anyway, that's the Celtic Cross, the way that I do it. I got the idea from Vincent Pasici, and I would advise going to check his channel out on YouTube. That's well worth checking out, because I think focusing on goal solution is far better. Looking at your goals and looking for solutions is great. You're always going to get good results. So just keep reading the cards and keep trying these spreads, and I hope that it helps you to sort of find your way. If you're struggling, I mean, if you're a professional as well, I hope this video offers something that you might have not have looked at before. So yeah, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Feel free to drop a comment below in the comments section if you found that it's helped you. And don't forget to subscribe to James Center on YouTube. And until the next time, take care. Bye-bye.